My husband and I have been together for 2.5 years. I have a daughter Callie, she's 13. She loves instrumental music and piano has been her #1 interest. I'm not saying this because she's my daughter, but really, I see her talent as special, and more importantly, she uses it to express her feelings, especially for her deceased father who passed away when she was 7. She always says that she, in a way, connects to him through playing piano. So I encouraged her to do more, and her grandparents bought her a 6,000 piano that she was so thrilled with. The whole family encourages her, but my husband thinks she's being distracted from school, real future, etc. He doesn't attend her plays, doesn't help with the academy, doesn't even take the time to listen to her playing, and every time he comes home and hears her playing upstairs, he'd lecture us about how this activity is just a waste of time. I sat him down and told him about Callie picking up on that bad vibe. He got mad and said that he was doing my job for me and ensuring she doesn't get distracted from school, although her grades are good. We went back and forth on this, and I made it clear that this should stop. He said okay, and that was the end of it. On Sunday a huge argument ensued in the house because my husband claimed Callie woke him up on his day off with her loud playing. He issued an ultimatum: either the piano goes or he gets rid of it himself. I asked where should I take it. He said Callie's grandparents' house, but Callie didn't want to. After we left I found out that my husband took it to the junkyard his dad works at and cut it into pieces. A big argument ensued and we literally had a screaming match in front of his family over this. I gave him 2 days to pay for a new one despite him apologizing and saying he acted in a moment of desperation and frustration. He said the only way he could pay for it is using his savings that were supposed to go towards his new garage as a side business. He complained about me forcing him to pay and ruining his business before it even starts. He kept sending his family as middlemen to get me to give him at least 4 months, but I refused and stood my ground despite being called unreasonable, since it's a piano vs new business. 8 for forcing him to pay and not giving him time. Edit no, he didn't have an issue with whatever Callie was doing at first till we started living together. At first I thought that as a family we tend to get annoyed by stuff other family members do, but apparently this is not the case. By the way, tonight or tomorrow morning is the timeline I've given him, and so far I haven't heard from him or his dad. You need to leave this relationship. For your daughter's sake. He cut what she held nearest to her to pieces. That's effing abusive. There is no fixing this. It's your job as a parent to protect her from this. Sue his ass for the cost of the piano and divorce him for being a complete asshole. I literally gasped in horror when I read what he'd done. NTA for the question about demanding he pay for what he damaged. But YTA for staying with a man who would act this way to your child. If someone, let alone my partner, treated my children like this, or their beloved possessions, I'm not sure I could keep it from getting physical, and a 6K bill would be the least of their concerns. NTA for the question about demanding he pay for what he damaged. But YTA for staying with a man who would act this way to your child. This 100%. This guy has profound issues. To get that agitated over a 13-year having interest with an instrument, JFC. If Op doesn't divorce him, she's 100% tar. NTA, give him a simple choice. His business is delayed while he takes accountability for his actions, or his business is ruined by having theft charges brought against him. Edit, and YTA for allowing your husband to treat your daughter so poorly for so long. Edit 2. The reason the family is yelling at you is because in most jurisdictions the father could also be charged for receiving stolen property. Seriously. He's not only been completely unsupportive for years, but he's been continually lecturing this talented hard-working child that her efforts are a complete waste. Op should have squashed this years ago. The signs were there. It never should have got to the point of maliciously destruction. Esh. Poor kid. First the piano, then what? This isn't high enough. This is absolutely a sign of worse to come. Please get your daughter out of this situation. This is already going to scar her for life as is. Info: why don't you divorce him? He's hurting your child and doesn't respect you. File a police report for theft, then file for divorce. There is no reason to stay with this guy. Lem give you some insight here. When I was a teenager my mom's husband accused me of some heinous shit. She made him apologize, but she stayed with him. From that day on I worked my off at after school jobs to save up. The day I turned 18, I was fucking gone. Yeah, she made him apologize, but she still chose that man and let him stay in our home despite what he did. I'm in my 30s, and I'm only just now truly reconciling with my mother. This is your future, if you choose to keep this man. No matter what you think, she will view this as choosing him over her. NTA for making him pay, but get that asshole out of your home. She is tough for staying with him, and will be even more so if she doesn't leave. Info: why are still with someone who treats your child so cruelly? It's not for money, that's for sure. It's for not protecting your child from what is clearly an abusive adult in her home. Yeah, WTF. How do you let someone treat your child like that? Also, he cut up a piano? What? He's clearly unhinged. Call the cops, file a report, divorce this guy before you end up like the piano. You know how most data posts have super dramatic titles that really exaggerate the issue. This is the opposite. The title mentions the piano and says, after he damaged it, and then you read the post, and, no, he totally destroyed it. And a piano is often a very sentimental personal item that is cherished far beyond its monetary value. I don't even have a judgment. This is just horrifying. Poor Callie. Take money and divorce. This is pretty awful. And pianos are heavy as hell. He had to call for at least one friend to help Ed move out and put it on the truck/pickup. So he had time to think about his actions. NTA. If you stay with this man, after what he did to your daughter, she will never forget this, and you will destroy your relationship with her forever. I'm sure you have *NEEDS*, but your responsibility as a mother trumps them. You married someone who is mistreating your daughter on a daily basis. I can guarantee he has said stuff to your daughter behind your back. He just finally did something bad enough that you can't explain away. You should have done something when he belittles your daughter's passion daily, but you didn't. There is no momentary madness with what he did. Think about all the steps he needed to take. 1. Drag the piano to his truck and put it in. 2. Not change his mind the entire drive to his dad's. 3. Lug it out. 4. Find the tools. 5. Every single hack he did to ruin the piano. 6. Taking the pieces to wherever he dumped it. This was not a momentary lapse of judgment. This was a cruel and deliberate act to harm her. *CHILD*. If you stay with him, you're telling your daughter a man matters more than her, and you're letting your husband know he can get away with a lot worse. It's for exposing your child to this horrific monster. Please, for the sake of your kid, kick his to the curb and sue him for damaging your possessions. Your daughter seriously deserves better. I'm in complete agreement. Why are you choosing this man over your daughter? She should come first. I'm having a really hard time not calling you an asshole for marrying and subjecting your daughter to this man. She should come first, and it sounds you've forced her to live with someone who mistreats her. Actually, unless you insist on a safe space for her, therapy for him, and change in his behavior to continue this marriage honestly, it's clear he resents the daughter and anything she loves, so I doubt therapy would help. I'd just leave him tbh. You need to stand up for your daughter better. She's your flesh and blood. Do not let your husband do this. If I were you, I'd leave that psycho. He's nuts. NTA. Him apologizing and saying he acted in a moment of desperation and frustration. This almost made me laugh. Almost. The effort to move a piano and then cut it up is way more than a moment. He's lying, and he's an asshole, and an abusive, manipulative one at that. I agree. He planned this and was just waiting for the chance. Even when you don't care about breaking it, a piano is a difficult thing to move and load onto a truck. Assuming he has a truck, he had to have had at least one person helping him. This took some planning. NTA, but you would be one if you don't die on this hill. This is your daughter's property, an expensive gift to connect her interest and her memory of her father from her grandparents, and he felt entitled to not only move it, trash it, but turn it to pieces. That's not a simple moment of frustration and clearly just wanting to deprive your daughter for whatever narcissistic reasoning he has, and BTW literally any pair of noise cancelling headphones would have been cheaper than a new piano, but why should he have to compromise when he can clearly just insult and steal from your daughter and send his family as cronies? Because it's unacceptable that you let your husband abuse your daughter for that long. You are part of the problem. NTA, however, as a musician, an instrument is more than just the price tag. You learn how to interact with your instrument and communicate with it. It was Callie communicating with the memories of her father. This piano was worth more than $6,000. This piano was intangibly tied to Callie's emotional and mental well-being. NTA, but you need to sue for more than just the piano. Small claims will only allow up to $5K for the piano. But honestly, the grandparents should sue if possible. It was their piano to Callie. They have the receipt or proof of purchase. And if they can afford lawyer, they should go for piano plus the pain and suffering that Callie has endured. If someone destroyed my violin or cello, I would be emotionally devastated. You need to leave this man. Your daughter doesn't deserve this. I train students for a career in music, and it can be lucrative or at least a sustainable way of living if she puts in the practice hours, which she does, and she receives the correct education. Any derailment from her practicing will make it harder to get into a good music school. My musician colleagues make 6 figures, so don't even think for a second that your daughter is wasting her time. When I, 25F, was 11 my mother had a boyfriend who was very abusive and jealous. I had a piccolo, little flute, I used to play in elementary school band. It was important to me. In order to not disturb anybody, I would play it in the backyard. I would play for 30 minutes to an hour after school. One day, I played 2 minutes past 7 PM. My mother's BF threw my instrument, music book, with all my notes, and music stand in the pool. My mother stayed with him because he blow dried everything the next day. It absolutely broke me. My mom chose the abuser over her own daughter. Listen up, your daughter is already traumatized by the entire situation. I'm sure it is worse than you are letting on. Please leave him before you lose your relationship with your daughter Opus. She cannot defend herself over somebody that you let in the household. She deserves more. NTA, sue him and divorce him. If you don't, you'll lose your daughter. Don't be the parent that picks sex over their kid. Yeah, the daughter is either going to ask to live with other family members or spend every moment she can at friends' houses. And she will be out the door the minute she turns 18. A guy isn't worth it. This guy especially.